It's time for the classic car selection. It's part of the show where we focus on a particular vehicle and we shine a light on a car that may have been overlooked. Now, this week, we're turning our attention to an American car, and we're not looking at the AMC Pacer or the Gremlin. That would be a turd in turds clothing. This is a sheep in wolf's clothing. The car that is derided by many, but is truly the epitome of a sleeper. This week's motor in the classic car selection, it's a weird one, the Ford Fairmont, specifically the Futura. Now, this was released in 1978 with a production run until 1983. The Fairmont was an all-round American vehicle that came to be the mainstay of Ford's production in North America. Never released in Europe, the car came out as a saloon or sedan, a wagon, and latterly in this weird sort of two-door coupe form with this weird back window of the Futura. Meaning that basically your passengers in the back seats also had a view out of the window. A weird-looking vehicle that the designers thought was the future, maybe the 21st century would look like from a 1970s perspective. It's a bit like Michael York's movie Logan's Run. You know, the one with the robots and the ice and Jenny Agutter getting naked. You remember that film? You all remember that film. The Fairmont is based on a rear-wheel drive Ford Fox platform using steel unibody construction. Sorry, I'm just getting the image of Jenny Agutter in a fur coat in Logan's Run out of my mind. Right, back to, yes, the Fairmont is based on a rear-wheel Ford Fox platform, uses a unibond steel car. I thought you were going to show a photo of Jenny Agutter then. I was going to get all excited. Hopefully we'll find one before the end of the show. Yes, basically, it's that. Simon's got one, I've got one. Yes, the independent front wheel suspension comprised lower lateral arms, McPherson struts, and helical wound coil springs in what Ford called a modified or hybrid McPherson strut system. The coil springs were mounted separately from the struts rather than concentrically, being located between the lower arm and the front crossmember. Now, apart from all that technical stuff, what really sets this car apart is that it's the ultimate sleeper. Because basically, the Fairmont is a sheep in wolf's clothing. Underneath all this staid bodywork of the late 1970s lies the beating heart of an all-American monster. Yes, namely the Ford Mustang. You choose wisely and you get a two-door behemoth that performs just as well as any 1970s muscle car, albeit with a few inches longer than the Stang. The car came with a multitude of engines, including a turbo, a 4.2 Windsor V8, which will give you more than enough grunt to get you down the road. Now, the reason I'd go for the Futura is the styling. It's truly unique. And to some, it is an ugly car, but I think we can appreciate it now for the true classic it is. The kids that were born in the 90s have all started to fall in love with the Fairmont, and specifically the Futura. It's a car, there's a growing movement of petrol heads who love a sleeper car. Now, the great thing about this is you can drop a General Motors LS engine into it. With the addition of a cheap Chinese turbo, you can be king of the drag strip highway. Mostly this car is a solid piece of Americana. You have to look underneath for the usual things when buying one: smoking engines, a mayo in the oil cap, rusted out wheel arches, and knocking sounds are all a no-no when buying one. The big problem is production stopped in 1983, spare parts were discontinued in 85, so interior door panels, bits and pieces, roof linings are very hard to come by. So unless you're after a rat rod look, stay away from cars with missing interior panels and cracked dashboards. So what are we talking about here for the two-door Fairmont Futura? Well, they're rare as hen's teeth in the UK, so I'm afraid you ain't going to get one from over here. In the States, they are more plentiful. The Futura was a bit of a rare beast, but 10 years ago, I did say 10 years ago, you could have got a decent one for less than $2,000. The interest has started to peak now, and $2,000 will get you a very rough car. You're going to need to spend up to $10,000, and you'll get an immaculate car with a title, full service history, no rust, very low mileage. So why not say yes, please, to the Mustang sleeper car that'll take out the competition at the lights and will look like a proper gangster mobile. After all, Jimmy from Goodfellas drove one, the Ford Futura.
Got an unusual rear bit.
It's strange that, isn't it? But I love it because you think about most coupes, you buy it because you want. I've had a BMW. Sorry, Jenny. I think Jenny Agutter's about 72 now, so I wouldn't. I love the movie Tron. I love Michael York, and I, in particular, love Jenny Agutter. Be still my heart, Jenny. I would like to go into the future with you with the Ford Futura. She probably looked as good as that on the back. Oh, yes. Two things I really need in my life. Travel back to 1978 and meet Jenny Agutter. But it's all right, the wife's gone out. Don't worry. It's fine. It's a great film. It's a great film. What is it? Logan's Run. It's a fantastic, weird film. I think Peter Ustinov is in the end as well. Yes, he's in the end. And I do remember they try and start a rusted out Beetle. There's a rusted out Beetle in the film as well. It's a most bizarre, where everybody over the age of 30 has to be killed. So that's next year for you and a year after for me, I believe. Officially. I think it's an expensive car, but if you live stateside, you can get one of these from. I mean, they were big in Canada, but I'd go down to the dry states, Arizona, Texas, LA, Florida, anywhere it's not too rusty. Get one of these. It is an investment. They are a nice looking car. Also a car you can work on, and I love the fact you could drop an LS engine into it and put a turbo on it and turn it into a dragster car. I did see one the other day for $19,000, and that's what they'd done. They'd lowered it, they painted it black, it had a hood scoop, Chinese turbo on it, LS engine. Nearly as exciting as the contents of your phone.
Yes, I've got a whole load of pictures. That's going to be really odd if someone looks at my phone and goes, "Why you got this picture?"
Jenny Agutter, that's fine. Nothing wrong with Jenny Agutter. It's time for Lost Highway, so I've lost the music. Oh no, hang on, here we go. Hey! Yep, and now here's the man with no name, Simon. Yes. Who's called Simon? But with no name.
If you've not heard this show before, where have you been?
Where then? Having a life.
Where have you been?
Watching Netflix.
This is our feature where listeners or viewers email us in, give us their favourite roads and the reasons why they love them. It could be a quite coastal road that leads down to the sea. Alternatively, it could be a straight two-lane blacktop that leads to infinity and invites you to go on the pedal to the metal. And whatever your poison is, let us know your perfect driving road here on Car-Boyz. Rich is holding up all the details there.
Yeah, there they are. You can email the show at car-boys@outlook.com, car-boys at Car-Boys with 4 Zs, Facebook, Twitter, car-boys at car_boys, boys with a Z, Instagram at car_boys with 3 Zs. I said 3